We're hoping they'll return to Biloela in the next sort of 10 days to 2 weeks. We want to make sure the transition is smooth and give the children a chance to say goodbye to the friends they've made in WA, and also allow Nades to finish up his employment there. So, yeah, it's not long now, which is wonderful.
Now, they're expected to arrive in Biloela maybe about early June, as you mentioned there. It's around Tanika's 5th birthday. How did the family take to the news that they were going to leave detention?
Look, they're so happy to be able to finally return to Biloela. We're not completely over it all yet because, as you mentioned, it's bridging visas they've been granted, but just the idea of being able to return after such a long time has been a great relief for them.
Let's talk about the next process and the next step for this family. Now, they have, as we mentioned, has been granted bridging visas, so they can leave detention. They can go back to the community in Biloela. But then what happens? What happens after that?
After that, it's really still in the minister's hands. I feel like I've mentioned that line a lot over the last few years to determine what next to grant them. So there is a citizenship application relating to the two girls to be heard. If that was successful, that would resolve their status. But it would still mean that the minister would need to intervene in relation to the parents. If that's not successful, then the minister still has the ability, and that is still before the minister, to consider granting them a permanent visa.
So, Carina, the Department of Home Affairs under the former Liberal government says that the family's case has been assessed several times and they were found not to have met Australia's protection obligations. What is going to change now?
Well, there's a couple of things. Firstly, that statement has always been inaccurate because the youngest child has never had her claims assessed. The other thing is that the situation of a person's claims can also change. So, you know, our system isn't based on necessarily the information just that was put into an original application. It can also allow for reassessment. But again, there's also general powers that relate to a compelling nature that also allow the minister to intervene, which is what happened yesterday with the grant of the bridging visas.
Was their detention warranted?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, no child really should ever spend time in a detention centre, and to think they spent that long in there. And that's what is part of the reason why this case has got such a huge profile, because people could relate to the pain and suffering that the family had during those difficult 3 years.
What do you think this actually means for similar people who may be in a similar situation?
This is a unique case, and it is a unique case because of the fact that it was a family that spent time in detention. So it can't be necessarily read as a precedent. However, I do hope that the new government does look, generally speaking, at what to take, I guess, not necessarily a softer, but a more compelling approach to considering cases case by case, as rather than just throwing them in as, these are people who have arrived by boat and therefore they should, their circumstances should never be looked at.
Carina, we, the general public, know their case, know their story. We don't know them as individuals. You've had a lot to do with them. Talk to us about what they're like as individuals.
Look, I'd start with Nades. He's just a hard-working man. I mean, since he's been released from detention, he has held down 2 jobs and just wanted to provide for his family and get back to a normal life. The girls are thriving, not being in detention, and they're just beautiful, sweet, normal children that enjoy playing and whatever else. But I mean, special thoughts also to Priya, who has just sort of held everyone together. I think Priya, of all the family, is just desperate to return to Biloela. She's also extremely grateful for all the support they've had, not only from the Australian community, but obviously from the group in Biloela, who have just continually fought for them. But even yesterday when the minister got on the phone, I mean, you could just hear the appreciation in her voice. So she is so thankful for everyone who's provided support to her.